Hi everybody. I'm going live on my computer. I guess the film quality isn't that great here, but I just thought I'd try it. I have gotten my uh, little tripod fixed, the little part that goes on the stand, and I want to try to get better at these lives. So anyway, I just want to talk to you a minute, or maybe it'll be longer, depending on if anybody comes on here. This internet thing has gotten so crazy. Um, I just got a call from. I'm sure it's just an imposter, but he says he's Julius Assange um, from Twitter, but then I guess he got my number from that or something. Because I'm always promoting myself with my sales work or my acting or whatever. So anyway, and I'm selling with Queen Jean. I'm trying to sell some. Well, I am selling some other products or working on it. Anyway, and we can go into all that. I have separate videos and all these things. So, and trying to chase so many different things, but that's so crazy. And I guess he got my number from Twitter, but then he was mad because I guess the call dropped. But he keeps messaging me because I need to update my app on Twitter, and I'm just on everything. And to get direct messages, I don't always get them there because um, for several reasons. I actually got off of Telegram and WhatsApp, mainly all the celeb imposters. I mean, I even got a fake robocall from Kevin Costner. It was a robocall at like 7 in the morning on a Sunday morning. And then, of course, all the Brad Pitt imposters, they have the most. And most of those drop, you know. And, that is just all so crazy. I mean, it's getting so crazy, all of it. But yeah, I took the Telegram app and the WhatsApp off of my phone because it was taking up too much space. And, with my current situation, I really don't have the budget for more apps and everything anyway. And I'm doing so many different things or trying to do so many different things. And you can get yourself in a position where you're just trying to sell different things and do different things, and you're just not making a lot of headway if you're spinning your wheels too much. But this thing with the internet, it's just so crazy. I mean, I had, like I said, I've talked about this before, like 300 Brad Pitt imposters. At one point, it seemed like, but I had to really, just stop it because it was kind of making me goofy. I was coming at a vulnerable time in my life, and of course during the pandemic, and I'd gone through grief with losing uh, one of my brothers and to cancer, and right after that, and then having moved out to LA during the pandemic, and then I'd seen the Real Pit live. Being an actor, I saw him at a screening and then at school and different things. I mean, I never really met him technically. I talked to him for like 2 seconds, but didn't even realize it was him except one time on a movie set, but for like a second, and I was only an extra. But I'm just saying that these imposters they are relentless, and you need to be really careful because even if you take all of them off your phone, block and report them, they will still continue. Um, and they kind of play a mind game on you because, and maybe I'm one of those people that maybe put a lot of these people up on a pedestal. Um, Now, this whole thing with Julian Assange, that's a whole nother thing, but I think they're trying to sell cryptocurrency or something. But anyway, I'm not really sure. But when I was on Telegram and WhatsApp, and then I was on some other apps too, and I just took them all off my phone. Not only the celeb imposters were driving me nuts, it was also all kinds of people. They automatically add you to the groups, and they add this one and that one, and the next thing you know, and this one and that one. And I was already on there for different sales opportunities and things that I was doing or trying to do. But it was just getting to the point where, it can be a big distraction from your life and what you're trying to accomplish. And I don't think I ever really had ADHD, but I think if you're on the computer too much and you don't take time off from social media and the computer, like if you're always like working on the computer, or then in your free time you're on social media too much and whatever, I think that can kind of give you a little bit of ADHD, and of course with your diet and everything else, too much salt and sugar. And then, of course I've been following Angela Shelton's protocol, trying to get rid of all these, like stuff in our food can cause parasites, and do a cleanse, and that can all affect your mood. And then, of course, I'm recovering from being a victim at childhood. When I was a child, I was a CSA victim, and I have another video about that. And it's very common. 1 out of every 4 men and 1 out of every 3 uh, women have been a victim of something like that, either from a father, an uncle, someone in authority, or some other family member or friend or neighbor. And when you're a little kid, you really don't realize, what's going on. And if you've had bad encounters, you are sort of helpless because you don't really realize what's going on. You always trust the adult. So, but I'm going to volunteer at a church to help people who have been victims of that, because I would like to help other people. I mean, I've had a pretty good life. I'm older, and I still hope to be more successful again, and personally and professionally. And I've had different levels of success, different times in my life, but it's gone up and down, and it's been related to other things too. I mean, there's always going to be setbacks and circumstances in the world, as it is now, or it's, this is not, I've lived long enough. This is not the first time life has been a little more challenging, but there's always going to be challenges. But when you go through something like that, it sort of does something to your nervous system, and you have to stay calm and don't panic, and because it can upset your nervous system to the point where you're not as productive, as you could be. And that's the same thing that these celeb imposters do. And, I've dated a lot in life. I was married once. I was engaged to another guy before that. It didn't work out. I've been in relationships where I was too much of when I was a lot younger, too much of a doormat or whatever, but I've healed from all that. I'm no longer that person. And I've done that in friendships too, and with people and business and everything. I've been, I feel like taken advantage of in a lot of different situations. And you have to be careful even older if you want a job. Like, for example, even here in Texas, the minimum wage is still only $7.25 in the year 2026, if you can believe that. So you have to, kind of speak up for yourself on different things. Or if you're on a strictly commission, make sure you're getting paid properly. But it all boils down to standing up for yourself. And like one of my friends had said one time, she was one of my friends from when I sold Mary Kay Cosmetics, but in just commenting about, for example, my marriage didn't work out, that I was just too good-natured. And I was. And because of a lot of things I'd been through as a victim of CSA, which is childhood sexual trauma abuse, basically, when you grow up under that circumstance, you are, that's my dog. We've got more allergies. We're probably going to have to find a drier climate someday. But a lot of humidity but anyway, but he's it's part of his being older too. So, I just got some kind of robocall now, but no, it's really crazy. With the world is just so different now. We've got to learn to adjust to it. But if you are a good natured person like I've been, I have really learned how to set up boundaries for myself. I've learned how to say no. Um, and a lot of people that have known me for decades still think I'm that same person. And I seem the same. I'm nice. I'm still nice and polite, but I really don't let people take advantage anymore. And it's cost me, though, I'm probably still not nice. I'm not pushy enough or assertive enough. I mean, in my life, sometimes when I've really liked a guy, and I've even had a guy for a boyfriend or something, I've let other women take him away from me or something. But I mean, I figure, what a wimp if he's like that. So maybe he, some men are always looking for better opportunities, someone younger or more slim or whatever they're looking for. But, you know, we just have some crazy things going on. We have a lot of distractions on the internet. I'm trying to stay to the subject. So, you know, because there's just a lot going on with this internet. And if you're not careful, and you have to really just turn it off, I guess, turn off all your notifications. And, I think sometimes you just, which is hard for me to do too, but sometimes you just have to turn your phone off and turn your iPad off. And of course, sometimes I've been challenged with bills. So I've even haven't had service, or at least, internet service on and off, or because it's always more important to pay certain other bills. For example, your auto insurance will take precedence over your internet or whatever if you're on a tight budget. But we're just dealing with a lot of distractions, and it can really affect you personally and professionally if you're not careful, because it can kind of throw your game off. And but I think one thing that's sort of hitting me right now is because I'm older. I mean, I have a lot of my friends are retired and whatnot and everything. They're of retirement age, which technically I am also, and I'm technically that, but I'm not. I need to still work some to make more money and I need to be more motivated, and I need to work a lot more. And I do work, but it's hard to you have to be productive and make money at things. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do and sell, but you have to be dogmatic about it and set a routine for yourself. You have to set an appointment with your phone. For example, if I'm going to sit down and sell the Holy Hot Mom products or the Oliabo or the insurance, set up insurance appointments for employee benefits, it's all on strictly commission. So some other people just recently signed me up for that. And then they can help me close the deals, because I'm used to, in the past, I've sold mainly personal lines. But if I have to, I'll do all that again. But, when you get to be my age, you start to think, what would be my dream job? Well, my dream job would be to own like a beach cafe and, have like art shows and plays there. And then, of course, whenever I could be an actress and, put together productions, be a producer, writer, director, whatever, and have a lot of people helping me put together some productions, maybe filming near there or elsewhere, But I have all these goals and dreams, and it's hard to put it all together when, first of all, if you don't believe in your dream, even if other people believe in it for you, if you don't believe in it for yourself, you have to see it for yourself first. And for whatever reason, for whatever reason, it's hard to actually believe in yourself, especially if you feel like your goals are too high. Because the way I was raised not to have goals that high. I mean, and most people were raised that way. I mean, I was raised to do technically like something like safe, like be a school teacher. But I mean, that's not necessarily safe nowadays, because one of the times in recent years when I was just a substitute teacher at a school, um, they had a lockdown because there was an active shooter. I mean, that was so scary. And finally, we all got out of there, and there was an incident. It was kind of sad and everything, but it had nothing to do with the school. These people just picked the school as their scenario to be at the school. They sort of came in off the freeway, I guess. But there's all these things that you can do, and you could sit there your whole life and try to please other people. And I have done that a lot in life, but then there's been times when I've broken away from that and I've done things that people never expected me to do. Like when I caught the acting bug in 2003 and moved out to Los Angeles, and I moved back and forth a lot too. And, and that was a big thing for me. Of course, I had to do various other jobs and careers with it. And then, even when I went in the news business in college, and I always worked at small papers as reporter, editor. I was even the managing editor of one paper. But, I never made a lot of money, but I was having a lot of fun with it. And it was a lot of work, long hours, but I enjoyed it. And a lot of people didn't want me to do that either. So, sometimes maybe I used to share too much of what I wanted to do or what I was doing with other people, because some people will try to put you in a box and they want you to just get in one lane and stay in it and not do anything else. And you have to be yourself in life. You can't just live your whole life for other people. Now, you still can help people. Like I helped my mom fight cancer for 11 years, and I helped my special needs mental retarded, he would have MR and various other health issues. I helped him fight cancer, but I also helped him just in his life, to take him outside of his little comfort zone in his little school and things that he was in, to go have fun and go do things and go places. And I've tried to do that with friends too. And, when I've dated too and had boyfriends or whatever, I've tried to motivate and help and change people too, and try to get them to go along with what I wanted, like to be more successful or to have goals and dreams. And instead of always continuing with my goals and dreams, sometimes I've let them pull me back and discourage me. But that's not their fault. That's my fault for not standing more clear. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I would have become more successful, because a lot of things I have tried to do in addition to my more sensible or mundane or I don't want to say mediocre, but because no job is really mediocre. All jobs are important, or life or whatever. But I have tried very hard to do what I wanted to do to a point, but then I have also had to be very realistic. And also when you grow up with something like that, what I went through, and then I had a special needs brother, and then all the issues I had, with this one particular parent and different things, that can affect you, because it affects your decisions, and it makes you kind of live in a sort of trauma filled at times, or survival mode. So once you learn how to get out of that, in recent years, I've done different programs. A lot of them free, or I've tried to help out to earn them with various like my publicity skills or whatever I'm trying to do. But as you learn to breathe and really relax, you can relax your nervous system and not panic. Then you can make more important decisions and not feel bad about your life, that it's not as successful or as exciting or interesting as other people. And that's another reason why you have to maybe sometimes take a break from social media. And I love being on all of them, really. They're fun. But sometimes I even take a break from Facebook, because, there's a lot of people on there that are very successful personally and professionally. They've got a lot of grandkids and kids, and, they're all, kind of successful. I think that's our sort of our, the way that we become, I don't want to say obsessed, but sometimes we really sort of really admire to a point of putting them on a pedestal, these celebrities, because they look like they have everything that we would love to have, like big houses and all the great success. Or as an actor, there's like I keep saying, like 1.7 million actors on the planet, and I'm among 150,000 in SAG-AFTRA, and but there's only like a handful that really make big money at it and consistent money. And that's the way it is now, actually, almost every profession. I mean, most insurance agents are just pinching pennies on a strictly commission, but the top ones that usually make it usually have their own offices or a storefront, and not all of them make it either. It's not easy to stay at that level, but they are driven. It's almost a 24/7 thing. I mean, or they're very driven, and they have to. Anybody that has a certain level of success, regardless of what it is, has to have a lot of energy and focus. And I have had that before in life. But part of what I think's held me back as I've gotten older is I've wanted to really do jobs and careers that I personally find interesting and fun, but also a little bit maybe mad at myself that I didn't do better in life to the point where I couldn't just relax, and I've given myself a hard time and beaten up on myself that I did not find the right person. And I think a lot of times, I hate to say this, but I did waste time with the wrong ones. But at the time, I didn't think they were, or maybe I thought I could change them. You cannot change people. People, I mean, unless they want to change. But then a lot of times I've enjoyed my freedom and to be alone and not even worry about it, to the point where maybe I've been too independent and trying to be like the Lone Ranger or the Lone Rangerette or whatever. So, but yeah, if you're trying to do your hopes and dreams, and I think sometimes you might want to just put your phone on silent sometimes, or just take a break from the social media, stop and think, maybe go pray and meditate for a while, work on other things. I have always got, even though I live in a very small apartment, I could always be decluttering and doing housework. I mean, that is one of the first things. If I ever became rich or famous, well, I didn't, to me, the famous thing does not matter to me. I really just wanted to be, or would like to be, a more successful actress, and have more challenging roles. And to make, if I had to become famous to make more money, I would just do that. And I'm used to doing that. I'm used to promoting myself and kind of making myself known. Or I've done that for other people too, to try to help them a little bit promote themselves. But as a news reporter or actor, editor, or even just as a sort of try to do a little bit of publicity as like a trade-off, just to kind of help other actors or just friends, or even I've tried to promote people that are like my friends that sell the products, and then I can sell them too, like Angela Shelton's products. She has the most marvelous products, Holy Hot Mom Oil, which I can sell. And she helped me with coming up with Celery Queen Jean. That's such a great thing. And then my friend Colleen that signed me up to sell olive oil, which is out of Italy. And but it takes a lot of focus, and people that do this kind of stuff are very focused, and they're very, and I'm focused. But see, I like doing different things. I sort of like to maybe not just do one thing. Now, the only job that I would ever want to do full time and just do that and that alone, if I had to make one choice, if I could figure out how to make full time money at it, would be acting, which I love. And of course, I wouldn't mind helping out with writing, directing. I've taken so many classes, I could do all this of producing. I could do that side of it too, which I've tried to do a little bit of that too, just to learn it, not necessarily in action, but just to learn it, but just doing things for free, and stuff, just for fun, But Yeah, this is getting kind of off the wall with these celeb imposters. I mean, I've had a myriad of other celebrities besides Kevin Costner and Brad Pitt ones. I've had just several. I mean, John Cusack ones, and there's just a ton of them out there. Cano Reeves ones. A lot of celebs have these imposters, but they can really drive you crazy. And it's so ironic that after I even um, blocked and reported so many, now taking the Telegram and the app apps, WhatsApp app, and the Telegram off my phone and iPad has been a game changer. Um, Now I have had to sort of find some other positive thinking groups and business groups that I was in on other social media that were only on those groups, and that was the only downside of that. There was another positive group that was really helping us with creating internet content on Instagram and things like that, because I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and a bunch of other whatever is available for us. But which is great. I mean, we have to use the social media now. That's just if you want to make money and promote yourself in your business, in your life. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a good way unless you have just a big network of in-person people that you could see all the time and maybe have a storefront office or something like that. But the fact that there are so many of these people on there constantly distracting us, that has been a big game changer because now I've had several of them contact me either by email or by other social media, pressuring me to get back on the Telegram and the WhatsApp, and because, and they also are on Zangy and Signal, and there's a bunch of other apps too. And I was researching, a lot of cyber criminals are on these sites, and a lot of nefarious groups and people are on some of these apps. Now, I'm not saying that it's totally bad because a lot of great groups and people are on these apps too, you know. But if the way they're set up, they can automatically add you. Whereas if you're on like other sites, it's not, they can't just add you and just automatically call you and everything. And that's, with the robocalls and everything, it's a little more structured. Whereas on those, if you're not careful, they'll start taking over. And I had, like different ones on Telegram, all of a sudden, the Brad Pitt imposter, after I blocked and report them, they would reinvent themselves, if not as his profile, a different one, or just another person, and to get all kinds of crazy calls and texts on that from all kinds of people. So it's just kind of a goofy thing. Now, I was just looking to see. I wonder what. I guess I don't have it. Oh, I do have somebody on here. Oh, okay. Oh, there is a David. Okay. Dave Ottsill. I'll have to look and see who that is. Maybe, I guess I'll find out later. Go to channel. I guess I'll, I hope you're going to subscribe to me. And then I can find you again, David. Well, thank you for listening. Maybe you've had the same problem. And this is kind of an odd time of day to be on here. But no, I just thought I'd try this live on here. But I'm sure you've had the same problems. A lot of people have got all kinds of crazy people distracting them. But if, and another thing too, you can sign up for so many free things now to learn. I'm going to learn how to make all this money on the internet through, with doing like a sundry of things. And it can really take up all your time, in addition to, like recently, I've been on various job interviews that have taken up all my time. And then I think when they found out how old I was or whatever, then that didn't help, because a lot of places do want younger people, which is why I'm probably going to have to continue with the being self-disciplined and being older and needing to make more money. I'm going to have to continue with the independent contractor type route, of selling these different products and trying to do things on my own and being more self-motivated to maybe finish a script or put together a little short film or, continue with my auditions on my own. But I mean, all these things, selling, regardless of whether you're selling advertising or insurance or these Holy Hot Mom oil products that Angela has, which are great, and I'm an affiliate for that, or the Oleapo, which I'm an affiliate for. And I'm needing to sell more of those, but in order to do that, I've got to be more focused. And you have to set up a time structure for yourself. Just like if I'm going to be more serious about selling these employee benefits, it's all on strictly commission, then I'm going to have to you have to set up a structure. If you're doing a lot of different things, like 2 hours on this day, I'm going to make the calls, send the emails, the texts, contact people directly too is helpful. Or if you have products, go out to a flea market and set up a booth or whatever. I mean, it just takes a lot of focus to do all these different things, but you have to set yourself up on a schedule because you don't have a boss telling you, okay. So it's like a choice. And I have actually interviewed to go back and do some cashier work, which I've done that before in recent years, or call center work, which I've interviewed for that too. But in any of those, of course, you have to do everything by the minute, by the second, exactly their way or the highway. And when you're kind of set in your ways, like in life, I've actually oftentimes have been on my own as an independent contractor, like as an insurance sales, or even when I was in the news business, it was hourly, it was lower paid, but it was hourly, but or it was set salary, but I worked all different hours. Like if it was a set salary, then I could work all different hours, and I wasn't, or maybe I was even the boss, or I was. It wasn't one of those jobs where you're pinned to a desk every second. Just like being a substitute teacher, you're still confined to the room. You still have a lot of things, but you still are like, in a way, your own boss because you're up there teaching, you're following a lesson plan, which I may be doing that again if I can. Everything's getting kind of competitive to get back into, but, I can do that again, and work on that. But it's not like if you're in a call center, or even if you're working out of your home, you have to log in and out of the systems every few minutes. Everybody knows everything you're doing every minute, how many calls you're making. I mean, you don't have hardly any breaks. When you have a break, it's very limited. It's like if you're a cashier at a store, or if you're working in an office, which I've done that too. I mean, in other words, well, you know that, but when you get out of that mode of those kind of jobs, which I've had all those kind of jobs all my life, on and off in between being more of an independent contractor type person or technically self-employed type person, you get kind of you have that self-discipline, but you get kind of set in your ways. But when you want to take a break, even for a few minutes or whatever, you can do that, and you don't have somebody on your case every minute. Whereas when you work for somebody else, you do, and it's a big adjustment to actually, go back to work for somebody after you've been on your own. So, but yeah, don't let these crazy imposters and people drive you crazy on the internet. It can be sort of goofy. And, I was sharing with a friend, she heard from some, but she's married, but it was still she got kind of swept into it too, just because, it's kind of like, oh, is it really Brad Pitt? We kept trying to compare notes. Is this one Brad? And, that's flattering. And, of course, when I saw him in person, I was really excited, and a lot of women were, and, it's not just him. I mean, you've got Cano Reeves and several others that are very handsome, and I think they all have girlfriends now or whatever. But I mean, um, or they're married or whatever. But it is very flattering to think, or in your mind, you're like hooked on the idea that what if that was him, and that's so exciting because when I really saw Brad Pitt that one day, and I was felt excited to see Tarantino and DiCaprio that day too at the screening. And even though I'd seen Pitt before at some things, I didn't feel as excited. But I think part of it's I'm an empath, and all these women were there getting so excited, and I was picking up on that and the energy of the room of the other actors. And then if you're an actor and you're aspiring for better roles, that will get you excited too because you're thinking, oh, I would love to meet them and audition for their projects and everything. So it's a very exciting thing. So when I finally had to stop total communication with these pits because they were like trying to get me to fall in love with them and all this crazy stuff. And then you're like being delusional because out in LA, I was like, we were under the pandemic and of course out there it's legal to smoke stuff. And I was getting kind of a little high on, because out there it's everybody's doing all that, which I wonder, I mean, that's okay, but in moderation, of course. But and it was a lot of it because of the loss I had losing my brother, and I had lost my elderly cat um, at the time, before I had moved out of Austin, and then I had another cat that I brought with me, but the other cat was just so sweet, and it was just different kind of cat. It was almost like a spiritual cat, and this cat is too. All cats are, but this one's more of a tough guy, kind of bully cat, but that's okay too. But I mean, what I'm saying is, I was dealing with so much loss. And the first time I'd moved to LA, I was dealing with the loss of losing my mom to cancer. And I helped her fight that for 11 years. And I was also seriously starting my healing journey of healing myself from childhood CSA, which has been a game changer for me. And then in recent years, the last few years, I've really been working with Angela Shelton and her groups, and she's got such great work now going with that, and now she's selling this great holy hot mom oil, and she's really into positive thinking and working on so many things, and that has been a game changer for me too, and it's really helped me cross the finish line on that finally. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You become healed from this stuff, and you realize that I've lived under the circumstances, I still have lived a pretty decent life. I've been pretty successful considering the emotional handicaps that I was holding, and a lot of people never could see it, but I saw it. And it affects the way you react with people in life at your job. If you meet a guy you really like, you don't go up to him. You're afraid. You're afraid of your feelings. You're afraid to be attracted to somebody. And, I would not have wasted 5 years, battling off these Brad Pitt imposters if at the time I'd had enough courage to just get in line with everybody else and try to meet him like the other people did at the screening. But instead, when I had these feelings like, oh, I felt so weird about feeling enamored or whatever. And it was a lot of it's a celebrity thing, I think, because I have met guys in life and I've had a lot of boyfriends, in life, and especially when I was younger, that I was attracted to. But then sometimes I would be intimidated by the ones that I was really most attracted to and maybe settled. But I was only married once for a short time. But that was probably, at the time, I thought that was the thing to do. But I realize now that was not a good choice. And it was a choice I'd made just because of what I'd been through as a victim of CSA, but, being a childhood trauma victim. But you don't realize it at the time. But it affects the way you make decisions, and affects the way you talk to people. It affects the way that you don't listen enough. That's a big one. You don't listen. You're not calm. And I have learned how to do all that in recent years. And even, on and off all my life, I've worked on it. But I mean, I've gotten so much better at it. But when you see it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you realize that most of your life has been a pattern of repeating the same cycles. When you've gotten away from abusive bosses or friends or relationships, um, you think, oh, I'm healed, I'm out of it. But then if you don't totally heal, you'll just keep recreating that same pattern. And it's like a spiral. And it's like spinning your wheels, and it's like a spiral effect. And it never, you never hamster wheel type of thing, and you never completely get out of that sort of mode, you know. So you have to kind of work on yourself and heal, and then just be okay with yourself. And you know, it's always a risk. I mean, no matter what you do in life, the job, the business, the friends, the relationships, at any point you can meet people that can derail you or try to derail you. But once you learn how to recognize your patterns, you are no longer gullible or naive or easily fooled or gaslit. But on the other hand, you don't want to like totally put all your walls up to the point where I don't ever want to get hurt again. I don't, you know, because you will hurt if you totally close your heart off and say, well, I'm never going to get hurt again. Then you're just hurting yourself because your heart is blocked against healing. And so if you are totally closed, that can be just as painful as being vulnerable and falling in a lot of love with the wrong people. So it's kind of like a balancing act. You know, it's almost like being a trapeze artist nowadays. So, but I'm going to go ahead and go now, and I guess I'll talk to y'all next time. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.